Hello friends, let's complete the feedback page by adding a little thank you note after the feedback has been submitted. This will require us to build a server-side API, and we will have a very simple API which simply returns the message, the thank you message. But in practice, in real life situation, you would have a more functionality in that service. So let's start. What we're going to do is we have to come to the request mode, and we need to add one tag for each of the input fields that we're going to receive, which is right here. I can see them all here. These are the part of the feedback page. So we have a rating, data type is string. So we need to declare them because when this data is received from the app, we know where to read it from. We have the comment. This is string. Then we have the age group. Also string. And then we have the gender, also string. Okay, now we need to create a new response node, which is where we'll be sending the response. So let's create a new tag. Let's call it thank you. And inside thank you, we're going to add two nodes. One is the message. And typically when you do a service, you include a status field to tell if there was any error in processing the service. And this can be a number. Okay. So we have this the schema declared for our request and the response for the service. And now we're going to come to the app and we're going to say add a new entry point. Entry point is nothing but the web service or the API. We will give it a URL which has to start with WC, that's the convention. Let's say WC/thank you. Response type is JSON. Request path. If it is request, you don't have to explicitly say it, but if it is something else, you can mention it. Response path is, and better still, we can just take this and drag and drop it here. This also works. So this is where the response is going to be. Request type is going to be post data arriving as JSON. This is the our app is going to send everything as post data formatted as JSON. So this should do it. We can configure a logger. You can actually view the logs from your system as well after you run the service. So that's it. This service has been defined. Now we have to provide the code, or we have to build this service. So we say edit. And what we're going to do is we will add a compute statement, because we are not going to do any database operations or anything. And all these blocks you see here, they will let you do all those things. But here we are doing a simple compute, and what we're doing is /response /message. We are assigning a value to the message field. Notice that we're using the full path, that is the response, then thank you, then message. And we're going to give it a value, which is thank you for the rating, and then we're going to add in the end the value for which we received as request, which also we'll use the full path name, request/rating. Okay, that's fine. We will zero. That's because this service will never fail. We just spelling mistake. Notice that I have put two compute statements in the same command and separated by a comma. Right, so that's all this service does. Just returns a short message. And now we want to deploy this. And this time we need to deploy it because there is a server API that we're adding. That's okay. Let's log in and go deploy. Now this project has been deployed and this service is now ready and active for us to use. Let's just quickly do a test. You can test it from here itself. So request type is post. Content type is application JSON. And this is our request. So we can say rating of, let's say, 5.0. Everything else is ignored. So let's just fill this up and say run service. Fair enough. This is the response we got. Response with status 0 and message is thank you for the rating 5.0. So this service is now working. Now we can continue with our app. So let's add a new page, which is the thank you page. Pivot label as well. So we have this page. Now what we're going to do is just quickly go back to the feedback page, and here we say on submit and we assign thank you. So what we're saying is that when this feedback page is submitted, the control will go to the thank you page. And let's now build the thank you page itself. We do the app view, fruit view. And we just check the center flag because the message we want it to appear in the center of the screen. And in that we add an app element, which is the message itself. It's of the type label. And we can give it a little different styling, whatever. Or we can change the size to medium. Okay, so now this page is defined. The control is going to come here. Now remains the data binding. So what we're going to do is we're going to bind this view with the API that we just created, and which is this right here, WC/. So I'll pick it up, drag and drop it in the data source. And as I do that, it's automatically picked up the source structure because when we declared the service, we gave it the structure. And that's it. No binding is necessary because the binding is going to go with the element, which is the message. And let's bind it to the message that we received as a part of the response. Okay, so let's just review what we've done. We created the response and request structure. Then we created a small, very simple API, which will receive these values and it will respond with a message. And the message is hard-coded and there's no real business logic behind it. But of course, you can build any kind of logic. Then we've linked the thank you page as a following page of the feedback, and we've bound the thank you page with this new API and the message. This should do the trick. Let's take it for a spin. This doesn't have to be added to the to the navigation bar because it's automatically invoked. It's not called from the navigation. So let's generate. And let's run it. Now let's come back to the feedback page. Select the feedback. We can leave everything else as unchanged. And then let's do submit. Okay. So there you go. We received the data was sent to the server. Server responded with a string, which is thank you for the rating. And there we have it. It's displayed. So in the feedback page now we have seen how to build a form, how to write a service to respond to that form, and how to pass control between the pages. So that's it for this episode. In the next one, let's take up the web view pages, which is the LinkedIn and the trivia pages of the app. I'll see you in the next episode.